So, once again, golfers, this is Sean Bland. I am the person who loves golf and really just wanted to take some time and love and basically tell individuals about um, Ted Rhodes golf tournament. I played it a couple of Saturdays ago. Well, actually, last Saturday because I think this is going to probably be posted pretty soon. But um, I can't say how cool of a deal. Basically, Tom Joyner always talked about the fact that you have to party with a purpose. In this case, I felt like I was golfing with a purpose. It gives back to the first tee. It basically gives back to Fisk University, and it honors a pioneer in golf, Ted Rhodes. We're not going to get into the specifics about Ted Rhodes at this point because I have an interview tonight that I wanted to play for you, which um, Peggy White is the daughter of the Ted Rhodes Foundation, and her daughter, which is the granddaughter of Ted Rhodes, is Tiffany White. And when you see this video, you'll understand they are a hoot. They are great people. They really love the game of golf, and they're trying to honor their grandfather, father and grandfather, for the work that he did and how he was a legend in golf during his time. Now, he had a hard time um, being a good golfer during the time that he was golfing because it just wasn't accepted for black people to be great golfers. And, one thing that I learned that I just was amazed is that all of the golf tournaments during the time that he was a golfer initially, um, they were opens, and in America, he was good enough and beat enough people that he should have qualified to play in these opens. But the PGA and the USGA changed the rules so that it became an invitational, where if you didn't have an invitation, you couldn't play. Uh, but we'll get into all of that in a few minutes, and you will enjoy the conversation we had with Peggy and Tiffany, the founders and the CEO and the president of the Ted Rhodes Foundation. But one quick thing that I did want to talk about. A lot of people, okay, for people been asking me, what is Kamari? What is Kamari Golf? Well, I came up with the name Kamari because a lot of golfers like to bet when they're out on the golf course. So Kamari means gambler in Swahili. So a lot of times when I play, I either am in a skiing game or in a 5, 5, and 5 Nassau or something simple. But I wanted to talk about betting and golf because it's funny to me that a lot of people go out and they just bet, bet, bet. And some people lose a lot of money. Some people gain a lot of money. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of to let people know is sometimes putting a little something on the game that you're playing, if it's a Coca-Cola or whatever, gives you the opportunity to focus just a little bit more. It makes you focus a little bit more. Now, if you play broke like me, then you have no other alternative but to focus a little bit better. But in a lot of cases, what it does is it gives you that extra little edge where every shot means something to you in that deal. So uh, I'm not advocating that you bet. I'm not advocating that you don't bet. But one of the things that you need to know if you bet, now this is very important, make sure that you understand your bets and that no one is in a situation where they're telling you your bet and they're telling you how much you owe. If you can't keep up with it, don't bet. If you're not a great golfer, you may want to bet based on handicaps. Now, that gets a little complicated. There are a lot of apps out there that can kind of make that a little easier. But if you know that a person's a great golfer and you bet them, then you either bet them straight up and know that there is a strong possibility you're going to lose, or you bet them based on handicap and it evens the game out a little bit. Um, More and more that people play, and they play people who have varying levels, um, handicaps become important. If you don't have a handicap right now, to be honest with you, I don't think you really know if you're getting better or worse in a lot of cases. So I use golf pad, not advocating for golf pad, but I use golf pad because every round it gives me the information about the course, distances. In some cases, it even suggests clubs, just all kinds of information. But it has a feature on there that keeps up with your handicap. It's not an official USGA handicap or the new one, the World Handicap or whatever it's called. I can't remember. But what it does is it gives you an idea of if you're getting better or if you're getting worse based on every round that you play, including 9 holes. So I strongly suggest that you look at keeping up with your handicap, even if you're just playing around with the fellas for 9 or 18 and you just try to find out. Always keep your score and always try to stay around USGA rules. One other thing, if you're playing in a tournament or not, if you have a question about where your ball is lying, never just do something without asking your cart partner or the other individuals in the thing with you. It's just a courtesy, in my opinion, because a lot of times you'll see people drop and their partners would have probably let them come out a little bit more than normal or whatever if it's just a friendly game. But in a tournament, if you think that that's normal, then you'll do it and you'll get penalized even more. So just bits and pieces of information that we'll cover over a period of time. But I just wanted to remind you before we get to the movie, excuse me, the video, again, just like and share. You'll see it at the bottom of the screen. But without further ado, let's hear about our interview with Peggy and Tiffany White, the founders and, well, the CEO and the president of Ted Rhodes Golf. Welcome back in Nashville, playing at the Ted Rhodes tournament. I can't even tell you, we had our professional Patrick talk to us earlier. And, it's amazing that there are only 127 current PGA professionals. And the reason why I wanted to get these two young ladies on here today was because there are not a whole lot of tournaments or a lot of events that honor the pioneers in golf for Black individuals. Ted Rhodes, and I'll get into a little bit of a story right quick. I was looking for a event for our Birmingham golf group, and we wanted to kind of give back and do Black-owned courses or Black-owned events. And I decided to come up in September to Nashville, and then the pro was like, well, we got a Ted Rhodes tournament. I was like, I've heard that name before. And, and then it just kind of blew up from there, did it not? It did. And so I got lucky enough to talk to the granddaughter of Ted Rhodes, and then Mama, that's what she is now. If I call anything else, it's probably disrespectful. Mama is the daughter of Ted Rhodes, and you have a foundation. So without me talking a whole lot, let me start with the president first, and then we'll defer to the great CEO afterwards. Tell us your name, a little bit about what you do, and then we'll let Mama close it. How's that?
Sounds good.
There we go.
So my name is Tiffany White, and I'm the president of the Ted Rhodes Foundation. And our mission is to honor the legacy of my grandfather, golf pioneer Ted Rhodes. It is very important for us that people know about his accomplishments in the game of golf, and that we move the game of golf forward by getting more Blacks into the game. So we really prided ourselves on creating events that educate people about all of the great work that my grandfather did as a professional golfer when it was not popular to be a black professional golfer. And we are encouraging, inspiring young people to get into the game of golf, either as a golfer themselves or working in the golf industry. So one of the great things that we are doing is helping to sustain the HBCU programs.
Yes.
It's very important to us that the HBCU golf programs survive because those are pipelines for the golf industry so that we can have more blacks playing the game of golf. So we've adopted Fisk University.
They were there today.
They were there today. So here in Nashville, Tennessee, they have an excellent program, excellent athletic director, Dr. Glover, and Coach Robert Moore. So we've adopted this program and we've been giving money and donations because it's one thing for us to say that these programs need to stay alive, but we need to be able to provide financial support so that they can do the work that they need to do so that these golfers can enhance their skills and then maybe want to work in the industry at some point after they graduate.
Correct. And one of the things that I noticed today was they had good equipment.
Yes.
They were dressed well. They looked like they deserved to be on the course.
Exactly.
And that's how you build that confidence and everything else.
Yes.
And then they may aspire one day to become 128 and 129
Exactly.
on the PGA.
Exactly.
deal.
Exactly.
So again, how did the idea of the tournament? Because I did some checking.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie to
Okay.
you. You know, I had to do my little research.
Yes, we
All right,
understand.
so what I noticed was Ted Rhodes was like a really, really good golfer. And this was and one of the reasons why, from what I can tell, he hasn't gotten the recognition at this point is because they actually changed the rules at several of the tournaments to invitationals because he qualified.
Exactly.
Is that pretty accurate?
That's pretty accurate.
Look, we're going to bring Mama in. We're going to get a story now, y'all.
Mama gonna give you a
Okay,
story.
all right.
Well, first of all, my father rather started playing golf by being a caddy.
Right, I remember
he
that.
did that, and he was so excited about it. I guess he said to himself, "This is something I think I'm going to try to do." Couldn't afford golf clubs at the time, but he worked at the country clubs
Right.
in Nashville.
Right.
Two of the most prestigious, expensive country clubs in Nashville.
And that I'm assuming he couldn't actually play it.
No, not at all. Not at all. And it's so interesting. I tell this story because he made his first set of golf clubs from a clothes hanger.
What?
And yes, and he would practice his swing in the park because he felt like, it was something he really wanted to do. And I really think he was a dancer too. He loved to dance. And I really think that the dancing attributed to the rhythm and the swing that he had. But the one thing about my father that's really kind of makes me feel really sad is that he really had a very tough time, but he persevered.
Right, I remember that.
Never ever gave up. Never worked a job a day in his life, which I couldn't understand. You know how you could earn money being a golfer back in that day. But it was something that he really wanted to do.
He made it happen.
Yeah, he made it happen. So whenever he could play, he played. But he was so excited about it. And it was so interesting because when he played in the U.S. Open in 1948, there's a picture of all these light expression people watching him.
Did you say light expression?
Yeah.
Okay, see, let me go ahead and tell y'all. Every now and then you'll catch a few things in these little deals. And Mama just gave you some education. And we're not going to go into the deep aspect of it, but whoo, that was a good one right there. Go ahead, Mama, go ahead.
And so, they were watching him and thought, oh my God. But he was just so excited about the opportunities that he felt he could give and be. He decided, he and a group of other guys, filed a lawsuit against PGA. That was in 1948.
Right.
But he won the lawsuit, but because he won the lawsuit, they thought, oh my God, here we go. We've got to have blacks play in our tournament.
Correct.
They changed it to invitational only.
Correct.
So he wasn't able to do that, but he did win 150 tournaments.
I know.
Yeah, 150. So he was bad.
Now, he had a sponsor too, didn't he?
Yeah, well, Joe Lewis.
There we go.
Joe
Look,
Lewis.
wait a minute. I ducked my...
You did your research.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, this wasn't one of them cold turkey type interviews. So he and like Joe Lewis was a good golfer.
Oh, Joe Lewis was great.
And the two of them used to go at it, from what I
Right.
understand.
And really and truly, Joe Lewis what they did is back in the day they bartered. He
Right.
taught Joe Louis how to play golf, and Joe Louis would sponsor him.
Correct.
Many of
Into the tournaments.
Yeah, because he had the money to do that.
And he couldn't get into them if he didn't have a certain amount of money.
Exactly.
And they actually got mad with Joe Louis
Yeah.
for doing those things because your dad would get in and win.
And when,
Right. And the other thing too is that Joe was so popular
Right.
by blacks and whites, they accepted him more
Correct.
being a golfer versus these individuals who did not have that prestige.
Correct.
So he was kind of the conduit, if you will, to get my grandfather and some of these other golf pioneers into these
Lee Elder,
Lee
some of the
Elder,
others
right?
in
So
that
he was
situation.
kind of like, okay, because they're like, okay, we like Joe Louis, so if they're with Joe Louis,
Then they must be
they
all
must
right.
be cool
Yeah,
too.
Yeah. So
and oftentimes, what little known fact
Uh-oh.
is that Althea Gibson would come to Nashville, and my father would give her golf lessons.
really.
Yes, so people don't know that, but that was something that took place.
Now, there was a tour that your father was involved in that dealt with black people. And that was like, what was it, the UGA or the?
Yeah.
They had an acronym, it's like the Chitlin Tour for that situation.
Chitlin Circuit.
It's Chitlin Circuit. Okay, see, and that's kind of how they kind of made some money during that period of time.
Yes.
And he was vicious on that tour, from what I understood.
150. He
Yeah,
was
yeah. So
150, yeah.
now, I gotta throw something at you because it happened to us today because Chris Osborne and I, when we were sitting there, and Chris, if you don't know, I call him the one-legged bandit on the golf course. Okay, that's my buddy, and we always give each other a hard time. But there's an effort currently to try and get your father into is it the World Golf Hall of
Probably
Fame?
World Golf Hall.
Yeah, and is there anything you suggest that we try to do to try and help that effort in that situation?
Well, I'm not sure, but I can tell you this. He was really, finally, when was it? I always get the year confused, the PGA when he was in
2009.
2009. Because see, I've been doing this since 1994. So that's when I really started the foundation.
Correct.
Yeah, so, but anyway, PGA inducted him.
Okay.
Posthumously.
Okay.
In
Finally.
2009.
Yeah.
But I think it's really incumbent upon people of color to send letters, to really contact people of influence
Okay.
to help make this happen, because given his accomplishments in the game, he definitely deserves.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're gonna do is just kind of keep it out there
Yes.
and let people know.
Yes.
Now I know that this is not the only tournament y'all do, right?
This is not the only tournament
No,
that we
Okay.
do.
So how would people need to kind of get involved and know about the different tournaments that you have?
Well, I would recommend that people check out our website.
That's where we go.
That's
Okay.
where we started. TedRhodes.org. So TEDRHODES.org is our website. And that's where we put all of the information about the events that we do. This year we actually did 4 events. So we did
Okay.
2 youth tournaments
Okay.
and 2 adult tournaments.
Okay, and there are multiple flights and all kinds of stuff like that.
Correct.
And there's some teaching with the kids that goes along. Was it just a tournament?
So the tournament for us, but we've been partnering with the First Tee program.
Okay.
So we partner with the First Tee of Tennessee,
Okay.
obviously here in Nashville, and then we also partner with the First Tee programs in Chicago and Northwest Indiana. So they're doing the teaching arm. We're really trying to give the youth the opportunity to compete.
Okay.
And so yesterday we actually had our youth golf tournament.
That's right.
And most of the kids had never been in a tournament.
Right.
And so we taught them, how do you network? Like, how do you
Do stuff like this.
do you do stuff like this? How do you stand out
Right.
and become comfortable being in these events? So that's why we've been doing the youth tournaments as well. We've also added an effective communication piece,
Okay.
which is Toastmasters.
Oh, okay.
So Toastmasters International is an international organization that helps you with your leadership and effective communication skills.
I wouldn't know anything about effective communication.
And we are both distinguished Toastmasters.
So that's the other piece, is we want our youth to be able to interact with people, because when you're on the golf course, you may meet a CEO, you may meet someone that works at a college, who may be able to give you a scholarship, and you have to be able to...
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
that's a very important piece,
Yes.
because a lot of our kids get into these situations and don't take full advantage of it because of communication.
Exactly.
So to wrap things up,
Yes.
just make sure that we're all good.
Yes.
Any final thoughts that you want to put out to the general public?
I would just say, please follow us. In addition to our website, we're on Instagram, and our Instagram handle is Golf Legend Ted Rhodes. We're on Facebook, the Ted Rhodes Foundation. We would love to have some more sponsors, individual and corporate sponsors, and we have information on our website about how to do that. But please follow us so you can see some of the great work. We'd love to have you participate in one of our events and help us really spread the word about the great accomplishments of Ted Rhodes. We're also working with the Smithsonian Museum in DC, the African American Museum, about getting some information about my grandfather and the other golf pioneers. So there's a lot of efforts underway.
So that is why she is the president and I'm now the CEO.
Well, I hadn't asked. Look, I hadn't asked for the matriarch to say anything yet, but I think we're gonna transition
on
over to you. Anything you want to say?
Well, it's so interesting because I've done this since 1994, and she was working at the time with J.P. Morgan Chase.
So she got some smarticles
She
in
got
finance.
some smarticles. She's a smarticle. I'm a salesperson, retired from Johnson
Hey,
& Johnson.
look, don't me nuts.
So I know how to sell. And so what happened is she saw that I was just working really very hard to make this happen. So she pitched in and she says, well, I'm going to be the president and you can be the CEO. I said, great. So that's why I let her be the spokesperson. I'm just here and adding whatever I can.
Surely you're not gonna try and sell me that you're the quiet force.
Yeah, that's definitely
that is not the case. I'm sorry.
As you can see.
Yeah, no,
not at all.
Yeah.
But we do appreciate you giving us an opportunity to share.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that I try to do is go out and just really highlight black golf. Not necessarily, and for my white individuals, this is not personal.
Right.
It's just that this is a part of golf that people don't know.
Yeah.
And it's not that there's a hurt or anger or anything of that nature. It's just that when I play golf, I like to see people that look like me and know why they're out on the golf course.
Yeah.
And this is one of those reasons. You know, a lot of people talk about Tiger Woods or whatever, but real golfers go back before Tiger Woods because he goes back before before himself,
right,
to let people know how he got to that point. Ted Rhodes is one of those individuals. I know Lee Elder. I met him, talked to him, and until you sit down and talk to or have had an interaction with those individuals, you understand how hard it was to be able to go out and play just a simple game of golf on a muni, not even to talk about a private course. So what these individuals are doing is the foundation of making sure that we continue to be able to play golf, not just on a muni, but on private courses and everywhere else. So thank y'all for the work you're doing. And I'm pretty sure Mama gonna reach out to me later on and fuss at me and tell me what I gotta do to make sure that this continues. So
that's right.
Continue to like and share the channel, and we appreciate you for joining us. Thank you. Once again, awesome presentation. I enjoyed talking to Tiffany and Mama Peggy. If you have the opportunity to get into one of their two tournaments, I strongly suggest it. They're well run. Patrick White, the PGA professional that we interviewed previously, actually ran it. But there was also another PGA professional who was assisting and was very heavily involved, and that was Kerry Ray. He is a PGA professional in Nashville. He does a great job. I believe both of them. I mean, they shoot in the 60s. I mean, it just was amazing listening and sitting down talking to them. You learn a lot about strategy and other things. If you take a lesson from either one of them, I strongly suggest it. My goal now, just to be honest with you, as a personal situation, is to go to their courses and their courses in the area and go out on the golf course with them and kind of pick their brain as they're playing, because I just think that it's interesting hearing. You heard Patrick White the last time talk about how cool it was to go to a tour event and just do strategy. I bet playing with those two individuals would be fun and helpful in my own education in that situation. So, not to take up too much time, I do want to say thank you to all the individuals who have liked the page, Kamari Golf, or on YouTube, Kamari Golf. We're trying to grow it, trying to get more information out, but just basically just going to have fun and teach individuals not only the game of golf, but also the history of golf. Till the next time, thank you. Have a wonderful day.